Hi, I'm Shannon Steffi, Senior Editor for Internal Auditor Magazine. Joining us is Richard Anderson, who will be presenting a session at the IAA's International Conference called Risk and Complexity in 21st Century Organizations on Monday, July 7th at 4:40 p.m. Richard is the principal of his company, Anderson Risk Consulting, and chairman of the Institute of Risk Management. He's also been a partner in a Big Four accounting firm and has worked in a variety of other practices, including Crowe Horwath and Grant Thornton. He has written several papers, including Risk Management and Corporate Governance for the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and he was the principal author for the Institute of Risk Management's Guidance on Risk Appetite and Tolerance. Welcome, Richard. How are you today?
Very well. Nice to meet you, Shannon.
Nice to meet you, too. Can you talk a little bit about your presentation you'll be giving in London?
Yeah, sure. We've been doing a lot of work at the IRM around this subject. There's been something of a theme that we've seen coming from a lot of risk consultants that risk is simple. You just need to follow 4 or 5 key steps and the job's done. Well, I don't buy that. I think that actually risk in our organizations is very complex, and our organizations are extraordinarily complex. Mm-hmm. So no longer does any one organization have the entirety of the value chain from origination through to customer. And those interdependencies have got to be understood, and we need to start looking at different ways in how we go about managing risk. That's the essence of what I'm talking about.
Okay. Now, are you seeing any trends in organizations when it comes to managing risk?
Yes, I guess I'm seeing people be less hung up about models. They're much more strategic about the way they're talking about risk. We're seeing it become a strategic issue. We're seeing people shy away a bit from some of the operational risk, which is the simple bit that many people are doing. And we're also beginning to see a move towards more data-rich risk management. Risk management's been a data-free environment for very many years. And one of the calls that we made in our risk appetite and tolerance paper was that we need to have the data to underpin it. So I think we're beginning to see those moves as I'm talking to businesses around in the Institute of Risk Management.
Can you talk about how governance, risk, and assurance models are affecting internal audit?
I struggle to think that the models are desperately important. I think if we're looking at COSO, if we're looking at ISO 31000, they're fine as far as they go. But they're very superficial in many ways. They don't get into the complexity of actually managing risk. I'd almost like to move away from saying risk management to something more active, like the management of risk, because that's what we need to be doing. We need to be looking at something much more active and less reactive. So as far as I'm concerned, the big issues that internal audit are going to be struggling with over the coming 12, 24 months is around understanding risk appetite. What does it really mean? I think they're struggling with and have got to get to grips with risk culture. And I think this issue that I'm talking about on the 7th of July of complexity and what is essentially the extended enterprise is going to mean that they're going to have to be looking much more about the relative power between parts of the enterprise, the extended enterprise. They're going to need to understand shared values much more. So I think that actually there should be, in my view, a shift away from an emphasis on COSO and ISO into really what is the active management of risk and the creation of value for our organizations.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, that was a very long answer to a simple question.
I'm sure it's appreciated. Now, if there's one thing that you would like your attendees to take away from your session, what would it be?
I have a catchphrase which I've kind of adapted in thinking about this. So complexity in organisations is going to require us as risk and internal audit professionals really to be the disruptive intelligence that pierces perfect place arrogance in our companies.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank you for your time today, Richard. We're very much looking forward to seeing you in London.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.